In 1981, an Italian architect published a 370-page encyclopedia of a world that doesn't exist, and spent 40 years refusing to explain what it means. Luigi Serafini made a calculated gamble. He was 30 years old, living in Rome, working as a designer and illustrator. He had a choice: follow the conventional path of architecture and industrial design, or spend 2 years of his life, roughly 4,000 hours, creating something with no market, no publisher interest, and no clear purpose. He chose the second option. The decision cost him time, income, and credibility within his profession, but it gave him something else entirely. What Serafini created was the Codex Seraphinianus, a massive, color-illustrated book written entirely in an invented script, a language no human being can read because it was never meant to be read. The pages depict creatures that defy taxonomy, plants that bleed, machines that serve no function, cities built at impossible angles, anatomical diagrams of beings with organs that don't exist. Every illustration is meticulously rendered, completely serious, utterly insane. When the Codex was first published by Franco Maria Ricci in 1981, it arrived with no explanation, no introduction, no key to the script, no statement of intent, just 370 pages of meticulously rendered impossibility, bound in green leather, priced far beyond what most collectors could afford. Ricci printed 5,000 copies. The cost to produce each one was substantial. He was betting that the market for expensive, incomprehensible art books existed. He was right. The book sold, collectors acquired it, universities cataloged it, scholars began to obsess over it, and Serafini said nothing. For decades, he gave almost no interviews about the work. When asked what it meant, he offered vague, circular answers. Some pages might be a dream, others might be a joke. The script was not meant to be deciphered. This silence was deliberate. It was also a strategy. By refusing to explain the work, Serafini preserved its most valuable property: infinite interpretability. The moment he defined what the Codex meant, he would limit it. He would reduce it from a mirror to a message. Instead, readers, and there were thousands of them, projected their own meanings onto its pages. Surrealists saw automatic drawing. Scientists saw parody of taxonomy. Mystics saw hidden knowledge. Cryptographers saw an unsolved puzzle. All interpretations were simultaneously valid and impossible to verify. This silence had a cost. Serious academics dismissed the Codex as mere decoration, beautiful but empty. Cryptographers wasted thousands of hours trying to crack a script that was never meant to be cracked. Collectors paid inflating prices for a book they couldn't read, gambling that its mystery would hold value. The price of a first edition climbed from around $100 in 1981 to over $2,000 by the 2000. The value was entirely speculative. Then, in 2013, something shifted. Serafini finally agreed to a comprehensive interview. He was 62 years old by then. He had nothing left to lose by speaking. And what he revealed was both simpler and more interesting than decades of speculation had suggested. The Codex, he explained, was created during a period of personal depression. It was not meant as a puzzle to be solved. It was not a cipher concealing secret knowledge. It was not a hoax. It was, quite simply, an exercise in pure creativity, the act of inventing a world unconstrained by logic, language, or meaning. The script was unreadable because readability was irrelevant. The creatures were impossible because possibility was not the point. In other words, Serafini had spent 4 decades refusing to explain a work because there was nothing to explain. The meaning people found in it was the meaning they brought to it. He had created a mirror, not a message. And the market, the scholars, the cryptographers, and the collectors had all been chasing ghosts. But here's where the story gets interesting. The fact that the Codex was meaningless didn't diminish it. If anything, it clarified its actual value. In a world drowning in readable texts, books designed to convey information, arguments designed to persuade, media designed to manipulate, the Codex Seraphinianus offered something rare: a space of pure aesthetic experience. No agenda, no message to decode, just the act of looking. The price of a first edition today hovers around $3,000 to $4,000. Serafini has released a second edition, a third edition, and various reprints. The market for the Codex has never been stronger, and it's stronger precisely because most people still can't read it, still don't understand it, and still believe there's something to understand. This is the paradox of the Codex Seraphinianus. Its value increases with its illegibility. Its meaning deepens with its meaninglessness. It became a treasure precisely because it could never be fully possessed, not because it was hidden, but because it was impossible to grasp. Serafini understood this. That's why he stayed silent for 40 years. He knew that explaining the work would destroy it. The real lesson isn't about the Codex itself. It's about what happens when we encounter something we can't understand. We project. We search for patterns. We invest time, money, and emotional energy into solving a puzzle that may not have a solution. We assign value to mystery itself. And sometimes, just sometimes, that's exactly what an artist intended. The Codex Seraphinianus remains unreadable. It will always remain unreadable. And that's precisely why it matters. In a world obsessed with decoding, decrypting, and deciphering everything, Serafini created an object that refuses to be decoded. It's not a message. It's a mirror. And what you see in it says more about you than it says about him. Subscribe for the next unsolved mystery, because some treasures aren't meant to be found. Subscribe, there's a new unsolved case waiting every week.